Susanna, that's a nice background. Is that there on North Park, Victoria?
Yes, right before you head up to Summit.
Yeah, which is what now Bayview or something, but yes. Yeah.
We'll give it a couple more minutes, Chair.
Sound good to me. How many do we need for a quorum?
We got your quorum,
Okay.
so you can start anytime.
Did you talk to more people? Were there more coming or?
Actually, I think you 4 or 5 are the only ones that RSVP'd, so.
Well, should we then go ahead and get going?
Oh, yes, and then you'll get to seat at least one person.
Awesome. So let's go ahead and start the meeting. So call to order. And do we have the flag for Pledge of Allegiance?
I'll grab a flag.
There you go.
There we go. So everyone please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And
to the republic for which it stands, one
nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. And then let's go ahead and do roll call. Rosanna, can you help me a little with that?
Sure. Let me, where's my video? Okay, we can go with, I'll just go from my screen. Voltaire Montemayor.
I get the order I can see. I did some not still. Now I can see everyone. So let's see. Voltaire.
Here?
I'm here, David's. Then
Yeah.
Crystal.
Here.
And you'll get to seat our alternates this evening. Welcome.
Okay, and we'll seat our alternates. And who are our alternates?
Joseph Ehart and Rondi Jackson.
Okay, so we'll seat Judson and Heath
Joseph.
Jackson.
Okay.
And okay, let's move on to approving the agenda. Did everyone have the agenda, or Rosanna, can you put it up on the screen?
I printed one for myself.
Here it comes. Thank you.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move, is that tonight's agenda, right? Okay, I move that the agenda for tonight be approved.
Okay, dot one approval. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, got a second. And let's go through roll call again. Voltaire,
Yes,
Kritzel,
Yes.
I myself, David, yes. Judson,
Joseph.
sorry.
Commissioner Ahard.
Yes.
Okay, and then what would the name of the other alternate? I'm sorry, I cannot.
That's okay. That's okay. The other one is Commissioner Rondi Jackson.
Rondi Jackson, do you?
Yes.
Okay, so all approved. So then let's approve minutes from last week. If you were here, go ahead and look at the minutes and let's approve those.
it's it was well all arranged. I mean, very nice. So I move that the minutes for of the meeting for last time is to be approved, please.
Okay, I got a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second, and then let's go through roll call again. Voltaire,
Yes.
Kritzel,
Yes.
and then my two alternates. Sorry, I cannot see you guys, so I'm going to keep forgetting your name. I am so sorry.
Oh, excuse me, Chair, they're not going to be able to vote because they
Oh,
weren't
you're
here.
right.
I thought you would catch that.
I should have taught that, but been a long day. So it sounds like the ayes have it. So we'll move on to public forum. Do we have anyone to speak tonight?
Chair, I don't see anyone in attendance.
Okay. So then we'll move on to our business items. Historic inventory rates update. Well, Jen, are you doing this update for us?
Yes, I will. Thank you very much. So from our last meeting, we did go over the historic inventory list. And again, some locations we were unsure of. And so some of you did go out and just to confirm, and then some were still not able to see, just probably because of the location of some of these buildings. But with Joe on hand, he might be able to help us a little bit more update this list. Okay, so staff, can you send the show the historic inventory list?
So it's all right if I unmute, is that right, in order to respond?
Yes, we're going to look at the list.
Okay.
Ron, do you want me to share?
Okay.
No,
One of
Ron.
the things that I did is I watched the video of the last two meetings so that I could see, and in particular, I saw the review of the list last month. And
You
there
can
are
share
some
with them.
corrections.
Okay, I'm sharing the, if I can find my share button here. There it is. Okay. So this is what, thank you, Chair Davis, for sharing this information with me. And I did update some of the items, but we can go down the line. Joe, if there's anything that might be missing, since you have a lot of knowledge.
Yes, well, yeah, I can fill in some things.
Okay.
Comment about the Windsor blacksmith shop. There was one of the engineers, I guess it was, showed some map locations, if you will. That was really useful for me. There was one thing that I've been meaning to talk to the city about. For the Windsor blacksmith shop, I noticed that in that particular slide, they showed the Windsor blacksmith shop going the property going all the way up to Weller Lane, that would be wrong. It's too far north. Windsor Blacksmith Shop, according to my understanding, that particular location, 112th North Main, was about 1922. And the grammar school, which is, of course, immediately to the north of it, was already in operation in 1916, which means that the Windsor Blacksmith property would not have extended all the way up to Weller Lane. So that particular slide, although it was really useful, it extends the property of the Windsor Blacksmith Shop too far to the north. I could actually give you, I don't have it in my head right now, but I could actually give you a demolition date for the blacksmith shop, but it was maybe about 20 years ago, roughly speaking. I'm looking at some other things. I'm looking down the list. Yeah, and you were right about Cozy Kitchen being demolished, of course, and that property is actually being partially developed by the little strip mall immediately to the south of it. If you were, what used to be Pacific Tire, which is now, is it Big O?
Mm-hmm.
That's immediately to the north of what the Cozy Kitchen property, and there's a small strip mall to the south, and they're actually extending out into the old Cozy Kitchen property. Oh, one other point, there are cultural resource signs. I heard discussion of that in last month's review, your review, the commission's review. One of the things that I think would really be nice to replace, the cultural resource sign for Cozy Kitchen it's at this point so degraded that it's unreadable. It's virtually unreadable. So it would be nice that, as long as we have the notion of having that marked as a cultural resource, it would be good if we were to replace that sign with a new sign, because it's in very bad shape. It's still there, it's on the land, but it's in really bad shape. Campbell's Corners, yes. Architecturally, which probably you all know, actually it's been remodeled, but the general structure is been the same for about a little more than 100 years, maybe 110, 120 years. There have been cosmetic modifications, what I would call renovations to it, changes in windows and things like that. But the roof line structure has been the same for maybe a little over 100 years. So the overall building generally on the outside looks, is to me recognizable as the building from the early 1900s. That location, by the way, is very super historic, but there was a different building there in that location earlier. Let me see, Cardozo has one of the, St. John's Chapel. Yeah, that to me is really interesting, because the chapel really now is, the church is over on Abel. So the original address, the historic address, I guess for Renee's benefit and everyone else, that would be probably the correct address. I'm trying to think of the year of the fire that destroyed it, and they wound up moving the chapel over to Abel. But anyway, that address is the historic address, but it's definitely not the current address. Kadia House, Silvera, yes, that's the Jacqueline Dental, yes. And that actually has, I don't know if anybody mentioned it, but there is a historic, there's a brass plaque that's mounted on the building that gives some of the history. And it was actually renovated by a pair of realtors that have turned it in, I guess, to Jacqueline Dental. And the one that I thought, and it says Dr. Curlin's house. I've been meaning to check on that specifically, because I was wondering whether Dr. Curlin's house was one of the ones that was recently destroyed. There's there's a development. I don't recall the address of this development, but basically there's modern residences that are maybe 3 stories high. It's really packed in, but there's a modern recent development that took out some of the old homes there on the east side of Main Street. And I don't know if Dr. Curlin's house is one of the homes that was actually taken out. So that one should be, you know, really verified. If we're trying to get a good list here, we need to actually verify that Dr. Curlin's house still exists, because it's possible that that one does not exist.
I believe when I went to that one, that one had a plaque on it too, I believe.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
I would have to go back to verify it in my notes, but I'm pretty sure that one had a plaque on it.
Okay.
I might be getting it mixed up with a different one though.
Well, there's definitely a plaque on the Cadillo house, which was there's definitely a plaque on that one, and that's, like I say, that's been restored. It was actually elevated. Restored's the wrong word. I have to be careful about it because I'm really picky about that. Difference between, just side comment, there's a difference between restoration and renovation. Restoration is trying to return the house to the way it might have, or what the building, whatever, to the way it would have looked originally. Whereas renovation basically allows for changes in accommodation, maybe upgrading of a kitchen, so on and so forth. In other words, so changes that permit functional differences, but still has some historic significance. So renovation is tricky, because actually renovation can destroy a historic building's legitimacy in terms of registration. Example would be the Higuera Adobe. We can't actually register it as a historic building because the city basically renovated and took it beyond restoration. Pimentel House, yeah, actually, Renee knows who lives there. It's Joanne Souza, right? The 437 South Main. That's...
I see.
This one.
Just looking at anything else that I'm noticing right off the top. Yeah, oh, the Higuera Adobe, now that we're talking about that, it's always intrigued me. Yes, the wooden structure that's just to the north of the adobe has often been referred to as the casino, so I can't, and it is in very bad shape. And Renee was, I think, also mentioned that last month that it's also otherwise known as the caretaker's cottage. The casino, the reference to the idea that it was a casino goes back into the 1800s, probably the late 1800s or so. The caretaker's cottage was after Henry Kertner's granddaughter basically restored the property, the building, the adobe. And before she eventually donated the land and the building to the city as a park, as a historic park. And that cottage, that wooden building that's referred to in the list as the casino for historical reasons, that was, you know, that was the caretaker's cottage at the time. The thing that I find that I'm uncertain about is because I'm not actually sure that that was the building intended to be the casino. Because one of the things that had happened was the old Higuera adobe had actually had a second floor put on it. And it was in, that was, and then in the 1950s, for example, that was extremely badly deteriorated, and Marion Kertner Weller, so that it was a marriage. So that was one of the cross marriages between the Kertners and the Wellers. She was the one who restored it, the granddaughter. And she removed the second story because that was actually not part of the original adobe, and put it back into that original adobe form. She, by the way, was a very strong-willed lady. She was, I never met her, but she actually got the state of California. The state of California wanted to run 680 through the property in a way that would have interfered with the property. And she actually fought the state of California and won, and actually slightly rerouted 680 to satisfy her.
Okay. So did anybody else see anything or had a chance to go and look at some of the items that we were not sure of? I think the one I tried to get a confirmation is the 2615 Old Calaveras. Not sure because it's in one of the areas when you're going up on Old Calaveras, it's hard to see.
Yeah, that is hard to see property in there.
And for our vice mayor's benefit, we're looking into a couple of the properties that we talked about last month as well. The old houses. They're over by the McCarthy Ranch area, and then behind the library, by the railroad tracks. So we're taking a look at those. So, oh, you're muted, Vice Mayor.
Hi, I was told, I don't know if you remember Jake Janet's, he's been here since 1956, and he told me the old police station used to be behind the library. So maybe that's the building that it used to be the original police station.
Yeah, when we did the library project, you know where the stage is at, you know, Vice Mayor, number of you know, the historic stage area. I think they found a holding cell back there.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, so a lot of history in that building. So yeah,
Yeah.
could have been that. But yeah, so we're gonna wrap this list up for everybody.
Okay, great. So I wanted to mention about the chapel. I know,
This one?
yeah, that one. So I'm wondering if, I'm sorry, I forgot his name, Mr. Ed Earhart.
Yeah, hi, Carmen.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hi.
We used to be neighbors.
Hi.
I'm Kurtner.
Yo, okay. Yeah, did you move? Well, never mind. I don't want to get off into a different tangent.
Yes.
But so the chapel. So are you referring to the church or the St. Jude Chapel?
No, there's no Jude. No, St. John's, the old St. John's Chapel was on Main Street, wooden structure. There were actually several versions of it because there were earlier versions that were destroyed by fire. But for example, we have a postcard or photo of, so the church, because are you referring to penitentiary, what's called the penitentiary, the little, but anyway, if we talk about the church used to be on Main Street.
Right.
Okay.
In between the
And
two
so
big
historically it
palm
was there, but I mean, currently, I mean and the last time that church was destroyed was when they built the new church / chapel over on Abel, just south of Sarah Way.
But yeah, I agree. But there's a chapel there. It's just the St. Jude. That's my church, so I know it's a little chapel that you go in. It's this called the St. Jude Church chapel. I mean.
Okay.
So there is a real small. It's like a 1-bedroom. It's not that big. It's really small, and it's called the St. Jude Chapel.
And
Okay,
this was
but
one that I went and verified. There was a Milpitas plaque on the building that was kind of between some palm trees and stuff. There was a plaque on that building. So when I said in good shape, I was going off of that building thinking that's what it was.
well, no, St. John, it's actually St. John the Baptist Catholic Church, and it was the first Catholic church in Milpitas. And as a matter of fact, you have the Synod. Synod is one of the parks that we have, of course, and Synod had a farm that was basically part of the Synod land, became where the Ford plant was built and where the mall currently exists. And actually the first Catholic mass was in John Synod's house back in the 1800s. And so, and that church is the one that has the cemetery up on Piedmont Road. Okay. And so there's only one St. John's, and it's St. John the Baptist Catholic Church. And it currently is located on Abel. It's completely relocated from its original location on Main Street.
Right.
Whatever building that you're referring to at 279 South Main is definitely not the old St. John the Baptist Catholic Church, because that building was destroyed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but there is a little small chapel. It's called the St. Jude Chapel in there.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the naming here is incorrect.
Yeah, we'll double check that, but I was just on Main Street a couple days ago, that the chapel's there. So we can double check the year that it was
Yeah.
built. And then, yeah, and then the front of the newer church is facing Able now, but we want to capture the chapel that has the Main Street address, which
Yeah,
I think
and
is
just
what
verify
Ricky
the
is
name.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yep, we'll do that work.
The big building there now is the Pabalkis Hall.
No, not
Yeah.
that one. Yeah,
Not that one.
not that one.
You know what? We'll bring pictures and we'll bring
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
bring a
we'll do
diagram.
that. We'll get an intern for this. Okay, anything else?
You know what would be nice if you, I think, since, since trees are really historic, I mean, usually houses or homes were built, in between trees, palm trees. And so there's a lot of old trees, and I don't know if the parks, if you guys are doing an inventory of the old trees in Milpitas.
There is a list of heritage trees, so
Oh, good.
we can bring that to the next meeting too. And
Okay.
cactus.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
cactus. Yeah.
Okay, stop sharing.
Oh, by the way, just for people's information, where the Laguna Cemetery is located, I'll describe it for you. It'd be the easternmost portion of Ed Levin, the Spring Valley one. If you were driving up Calaveras and you passed the entrance to the Spring Valley on the right, you go up and around the curve. So you make a curve to the south, basically starting to head over to Felter Road. And Laguna Cemetery will be maybe a few hundred yards on the right, and you have to really look for it, but it's there. And there's a fairly prominent sign that's maybe about 20 feet off the road. So yeah, it won't be right at the road's edge. It's receded back into the property, but it's there. The tombstones have been removed because there was vandalism that was going on at one point. That's exactly where the Laguna Cemetery, which is the first, I think that would have been the oldest cemetery that is older than the St. John the Baptist Cemetery on Piedmont Road. Laguna is the oldest cemetery I think we have. And there's, by the way, if you do stop, it's actually really hard to stop because it's very hard to get off the road. There's not a large shoulder on either side, but if you actually manage to do that and walk over to where this big iron overhead sign and some gates are, there's an informational sign there that's actually quite interesting. So,
Well, thank you for that.
okay, that's
Chair, you want to go on to the next item?
Let's move on to
Yeah.
the new item, the staff for the annual park and facility tour.
So for this item, the commission will select a few parks to visit on their own for obvious reasons due to the social distancing guidelines we're still following. And then in June, we will report back as a group to review some of the things that you might have noticed at these parks. Things that, what did you like? What suggestions you might have? And we can go from there. I mean, we do have several parks that have been renovated. I don't want to say that word, renovated, updated, but we do have some really cool parks out there. And if you can select maybe 3, if you need help, let us know. We can identify those parks for you. But I know recently Creighton Park, it's a big hit in that one area. I've heard a lot of positive things about that park. So that would be one suggestion. Anybody else?
It's out of curiosity. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, as a group, if you guys can collectively select 3 that you'll all go visit. And so we're having a group discussion in June. So like Rosanna mentioned, there are a couple parks that have had a high level of renovation through the capital improvement program. One of those is Creighton. And then you also have some older parks that have had some playground and play surface updates, like Foothill Park, that you might want to sort of pick 3 as a group, and then all of you visit. We'll give you each we will give you assessment forms to take with you. Just make some notes, and that way we're having parks that you know have been renovated, or some that you think or that you've heard about from the community as people really enjoying, or a park that needs some attention. So this is a good use of your time to get out, get some vitamin D, and take a look at our outdoor amenities.
I have 2 questions. I know we have a new dog park, right, at one of our parks.
Creighton Park has a dog play area.
Play area, okay.
Mhm.
So I know I've been wanting to check that out.
Yes, we do have a furry 4-legged child at home. I've met him. Yes, so you have a new Creighton Park, you have a new skate park in town, you have some parks that have playgrounds and play surface redone, and you have some parks that were touched in about 20 years ago and are still greatly used, but haven't had any, haven't been on the list yet for renovation. So now
one that I would like to do is the Creighton Park. Since it is a new dog park, new dog play area, get the term right, sorry. And I know that's something needed in the community here.
Okay.
So I would love to check that one out.
Okay.
And then I had a question about the skate park. Is that a standalone park, or is it part of the sports center of Fitzroy?
It's in the largest complex, but it is fenced as a standalone.
Okay.
Yeah. But you just pull in, it's open till 9 o'clock every night. There are people in it all the time.
I know whenever I walk by, it's busy.
Yeah, it is a highly used area. So that's a good one to visit as well.
Do any of
That's
the
great. That's
other
good.
commissioners have parts they would like to add to the list?
I'm fine about going to Creighton. Actually, I was just there, but I didn't know that they had added a dog play area and so on. My grandson used to play there, about 10 years ago. He'd walk from my house. We walked down to Creighton, and I know it's been completely redone in bathroom. It's the first time with this that they've added a bathroom. That was one of the major failings at the time. So yeah, that'd be a nice one to visit. By the way, I can provide brief comments about a couple of park names. But anyway, Creighton would be okay on my list as well. If we're trying to go to if as a group, maybe individually, but if we're all trying to visit the same 3 parks, I'm certainly fine with making Creighton one of the names.
Mm-hmm.
And was Augustine updated as well, the playground, or recently?
Yes.
I think the surface was.
The surfaces, we've added purple pipes, recycled water. The garden looks fantastic right now also, which is just right north past the park. So there's been, we've retouched the public art in that park. So we haven't done large projects out there, but there's been pieces of that park that have been updated. And then most recently, we have a new park sign out there. So part of our council recent endeavors was to put the name Sunny Hills back in the park name. So now it's Sunny Hills Albert Augustine Jr. Park. So you can check out the new sign as well if that's one you guys want to go to. It's a great connectivity. You've got City Park, you've got SFPUC pipeline, and you've got a JUA joint use agreement area with the garden right there. And then that pathway leads up to Vice Mayor, you always say the name better. It's Peacoat or
Peacoat?
Paycoat Park.
Peacoat.
Yeah,
Echo.
Peacoat Park.
Oh,
Petco
that's
Park.
that.
Yeah, which takes you
Yeah.
right up to the border of Fremont. So that's a good area if you want to check that out.
Well, that
Actually,
sounds
there's a whole series of parks on the Hetch Hetchy Trail, right? With Pico at the north end.
Yep.
And then it comes all the way down through Augustine Park and is it
Strick Rock.
Sandalwood, the one nearby the high school?
Yeah, Sandalwood to Strick Rock to Gill.
No, not the Strickroth to, I think it's
Oliver Jones.
Oliver.
Oliver Jones. Yeah.
Yeah, Strickroth is just a little bit to the west.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And didn't the Adobe get updated?
Which one?
Not the
Garrett?
one that's been
Always-
apart forever.
They both have.
Well, one had been fenced off for almost all of my life.
Higuera Adobe Park was finished, I want to say 2017-ish.
that was
That was the last
renovation.
time I was there.
That one looks really nice. And then we're finishing up Alviso Adobe on the inside of the Adobe right now.
Ooh, I
So
want to
that
get into that.
Yeah, not yet. Not yet. It is
Next
beautiful.
year.
Yeah, next time. But yeah, that'll be done soon, but not quite yet. But I am hearing skate park, Creighton Park, and the Augustine.
I think those three sound good to me.
And then Rosanna and I will send you guys just some forms to take with you to kind of jot some notes or just to think about it. And then we can meet back up in June and go over some findings. And you can even talk to the community if you want, just about the parks. And it is fitting. We are wrapping up the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. So it's a good time to.
So what are the three parks then?
So the skate park, which is at the Sports Center,
Okay.
right before you walk into the turf fields. You
Right.
can't miss it. And Creighton Park. We'll send you the addresses or the cross streets, and then Augustine Park.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's on that note that you said talk to visitors. I know at one point you had said we can get business cards so that we can somewhat sound official when we go up. Did that doable?
Well, I don't necessarily recommend walking up to people in the park.
Okay.
However, you could chat with people, that live in town.
Yeah,
You're
that's
out
fine.
there for sure. We can print, I believe everyone can get 50 cards. So if you're interested, Rosanna can reach out separately and Justin about getting those to you guys.
Okay, cool. Do we need to get a motion or anything on this?
Just a motion to approve the 3 parks would be great. And then it's official. And then we'll circle back on this in June.
Okay. I could move those mentioned parks to be visited, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I got a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second, and let's go through roll call. Voltaire,
Yes.
Twitchell,
Yes.
and then Joe,
No, I'm alternate.
but you're seated.
No, I'm actually alternate too. Am I seated?
No,
You
you
are
are seated.
That's
Yeah.
what I thought. I'm
We
part of
didn't-
the commission now, but I'm still an alternate.
I thought we seated everyone today.
Yes,
Yeah, so you get to vote.
you get to vote.
Oh, yeah, yes, I'm fine with those 3.
And then we'll get, sorry, can't talk
Rondi.
today.
That's okay, Rondi.
Rondi.
Yes, those 3 are fine.
Okay, so we have a unanimous vote on that. So we'll move on to city liaison report. Do we have any updates?
Yes, I'm going to start with the bike repair clinic that we are going to be helping with. The date has been confirmed for Saturday, May 15th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And this is going to be at the Sports Center. And I know some of you volunteered a few months ago, and once the flyer is available, we can send that out to all of you. And if you want to volunteer, just let us know.
Sound good.
And I can keep going, Renee. We do offer, we've been excited about spring coming along, and we're currently offering back our in-person swimming lessons scheduled in the next couple of weeks. The Sports Center and the Senior Center are actually going to be opening their fitness rooms for by appointment only. So some of our members can come back in and work out in their favorite cardio machine or whatever machine they'd like to use. And they would just call our front desk and we can make those appointments for our members. March and April have been pretty busy with us being on going on the orange tier. I'm so happy for all our youth sports organizations. They're back to practicing and playing, and the softball organization had a great opening ceremonies on Saturday. Saw a lot of cute pictures online. This group, the youth sports, they put on a lot of time and effort. The board, all the coaches, volunteers, I could tell that they did a lot of work just by how organized they were. I didn't see anything that was wrong with what they've done. They were socially distanced, and I could see a lot of parents just, was happy to see the girls out there playing. Our senior center continues to serve 200 meals a day, both to those coming in person and also those that are being delivered to Terrace Gardens. So we're staying busy. We're planning out our summer programs. Those are going to be coming along fairly soon. So not quite back to normal, but in a sense, some normalcy. So did I miss anything else, Renee?
Well, our senior center also launched their senior digital literacy program. So they are helping weekly 25 seniors right now, getting them connected, learning how to use a computer, become literate, communicate with their friends and family online, as well as just becoming comfortable with how a lot of business, both personal and commercial, is run these days. So we got a grant for $25,000 to launch that program through our CDBG funds. So we're super proud of that program. We do plan on continuing that for a number of years. We've been running our After the Bell program virtually with our staff internally. We're excited. Spring break is next week in Milpitas. And so we are starting pop-up ATB in the park. When I was a day camp leader, that's how we ran it. You went to the park as a leader and kids would just come. And so it's very similar to that. We're also going to have an opportunity for one of those pop-ups to be a parent night out. I love my children, I'm sure as all of you do, but maybe a night away to go patronize a Milpitas restaurant that's now open, and then have your kids have a little bit of fun, watch a movie and play games with us is something else that we're looking forward to. Summer is ramping up. We're in the orange tier like the rest of the county. Day camps are starting back up. Some lessons are starting back up. Camps, contract classes. People are ready to get their services back, and we're super excited to provide those. And I think that's it for now. We're still helping with testing sites and trying to get vaccine sites in town, and food distribution. So we are out there. If there's any services that you hear people needing in town where there might be some deficiencies, please let Rosanna and I know so we can help out. because we also have a strong social services group as well, working for the city to help all the residents. And I think that's it.
Awesome. Sounds like you guys are doing a lot of stuff. And then our next item is, do we have any update from the city council?
Thank you, Chair. So a few items. So I'll give you a little bit of background. So back in 2019, the city council had made some changes to where we propose ideas to the city manager and staff, and we put them on this, and then so staff puts them on this list, and then we vote on it. The city council votes on it. Do we want this or do we not want this to be discussed? Because for the item to have action taken on, it has to have first of all the votes, the majority votes, and we vote to see if staff can put 4 hours of staff time. So here I'm going to share a couple of them. Some of them that were passed last week. From looking at my minutes here. Okay, so one is Beautify Milpitas. So that received a unanimous 5-0 vote, and that means that we will it will come back and we're going to discuss it to with some kind of action plan. The next one is consider removing affordable housing in lieu fees, and that was it received a vote of 4-1, so that passed. And that means because right now developers can pay in lieu fees instead of having to be required to build a park or do some like this for that, but now they have to they won't be able to they'll have to get the project going instead of build affordable housing, for example, instead of having to pay in lieu fees. The next one was testing and vaccine distribution plan, so that I think we approved 300, was it 300,000? I can't remember. Do you remember, Renee, how much money was approved for the testing and vaccination distribution plan?
Yeah, I don't remember the exact amount, but that sounds about right. Just remember helping with the report. Yeah. So
we approved that. The other one that I really am proud of is Main Street revitalization. So I'm spearheading that, and I think the Parks and Recs Commission is going to be so happy because that was also in some of the details includes signage, some historic sites, and to revitalize Main Street. And so on April 29th, there's going to be at 6 o'clock. I hope you can all be there, virtually, of course. It's Main Street Community Conversations. So what would you like to see on Main Street? So the city wants to get some ideas, feedback. That's correct, right, Renee? So we can start thinking about making some nice things happen on Main Street. And let me see what else. And ADU programs, which is accessory dwelling units. So where the city has a ADU Mondays, if they want anyone that wants to find out about how to build an accessory dwelling unit in their backyard, that'll be on Mondays. And I think it's the first Monday of every month, and they can get all the information of how to what permits they need and so forth. And also vaping. So I pushed for putting a vaping ban on because I think too many kids are becoming addicted to vaping cigarettes and those flavored ones. And we're pushing to put an ordinance of not allowing vaping to be sold in the city of Milpitas. So we'll see. That's still coming forward. And that's about it for now. If you have any other questions, just let me know. Thank you.
Yeah, Beautify Milpitas may start on the parks.
What was that, Voltaire?
Yeah, if we want to beautify Milpitas, we may start making parks as attractive as it should be. Yeah.
Yeah, so the city council, they all promote their ideas, and then we vote on them, whether we want to do it or not, and then it moves forward. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you for your update. Do we need to talk about next month's agenda at all?
If you guys have any items that you want us to add, let us know. One thing we are going to want to add that is part of your work plan is any supports that this commission typically provides to the Milpitas Historical Society's tour that's usually in June. So Joseph Ehart, our new alternate too, he's on the Milpitas Historical Society board. So he'll be able to be a big part of that discussion next month, but that's something that we're going to want to talk about, and potentially whatever they have going on, we'll hear about it next month, but then, how to promote either the tour or maybe just history in the month of June. So that'll be a discussion for next month.
Sounds very good. I guess if there's nothing else, we can adjourn the meeting.
That was a quick meeting.
Nice.
Is
Good
that-
information and good talk, good discussion.
And
Do we
I
need motion?
have one question. When is the next meeting?
The first Monday.
First
So
Monday of every month.
that's correct.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And then if we could, Chair, just before we close,
Yes.
just thank you again to everyone for coming and being with us tonight. And then just specifically to welcome our new members. They're both alternates, but they're dear to us. So we have Rondi Jackson. She is a longtime resident. She is active in the youth community and is the chair of the PAL board right now, and is also a integral member of the PAL soccer. So welcome, Rondi. We're very excited to have you with us. And then Mr. Ehart, as you probably already guessed, he is one of our history extraordinaires in the Milpitas community, and he's on the board. Rosanna and I worked a lot with Mr. Ehart over the years, and very glad to have him on the commission as well. So I think we have a great group. Welcome to the two new members. We look forward to meeting with you guys every month. And Carmen, Miss Vice Mayor, she's also back with us. So it's kind of a fun new energy for the commission, and we're excited about that. So.
I just did a little bit of history. My first commission that I started on back in 1992, I think. It was the Parks and Recs Commission. And so it's full circle.
You've been on a lot of commissions though, Vice Mayor. So
yeah, library planning.
A lot of experience. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. You've done a lot. So.
And I really am glad that you're putting a lot of emphasis on the historical part. And I don't know if you know this, but I used to serve on the Santa Clara County Historical Heritage Commission, and they have a lot of grants, and some of these sites might be able to get to be listed on the registrar. So, and they have, I think if an owner, he can have it. I think I forget the name of it's where they get tax exempt. They don't have to pay any taxes if their site is if it's considered a historical site. But there's a term and I just can't think of it right now. But there's a lot of good things that can happen.
Yeah, might be a benefit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, great.
Main
Thank
Street.
you. Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Good
Yes.
night.
Have a good night.
Stay safe.
Bye.
Be safe. Bye.
Yeah.